Good morning everyone. This morning we have the great privilege of hearing from Anne, Graham and Margaret and their experience of being in World War II when they were little.
When war started I was 6, coming up to 7, and I had no concept really of what it was all about. But I remember when the air raid started, I used to sleep in the cupboard under the stairs because it was thought that was the safest place if a bomb fell on the house. And then in 1941 they introduced Morrison shelters. These were solid steel, about 12 foot by 6 foot, and table height, and we used to have it in our dining room and we ate our meals off it, and at night my brother and I used to go in there.
My father was called up and served in Belgium and Norway. He was an officer in the Royal Engineers concerned with movement control. I remember him coming on leave. Troops had a chocolate ration and he saved his up for us as we couldn't get any on our sweet ration. I remember air raid warnings, searchlights in the night sky, but thankfully no bombs near us. After the war, my father joined the British Legion. The day before he died, November the 11th, he laid a wreath in the war cemetery in Hamburg where we were living. So for Remembrance Sunday has a special meaning for me.
My name's Anne Draycott and I've been a member at Holland Road Baptist Church for about 70 odd years now, which is quite a long time. And I started coming just after the war because my parents were not churchgoers. During the war years I used to go to St Luke's Church with my grandmother, so I was familiar with church things. And my parents had always brought me up to pray anyway. We said prayers before we went to sleep at night. And I remember very much during the war, which didn't affect me too much because to me, I was only 5 when it started. It was just how things were. You know, there was a war, okay, I'm only 5. It's obviously how this world ticks. And so the war itself, apart from the fact that my father was away, he was called up, and my mother made me pray every night with my sister to keep my father safe. And I always remember it was keep him safe from bombs and guns and keep him safe till morning light, amen. And that was always how the prayer finished. We always grew up with a knowledge of God, even though it might not have been personal at that time. But my personal knowledge of God came a lot later, and I have found that God has been a real blessing to me, especially when I lean on him. If I try and do things in my own strength, it doesn't work out, and all my biggest difficulties in life have probably been when I was furthest away from him. But when I keep in close touch with him through his word, through prayer, through just trying to walk as Jesus walked, that is where I find the greatest blessing, the greatest encouragement and the greatest peace.
How encouraging to hear those stories of people's lives. In Psalm 46 verse 1, the Bible talks about God being our refuge and our strength, him being a safe place where we can run to and put our hope and our security. It was so encouraging to hear about how they all leant on God in times of trouble and how they're still continuing to lean on God. I think it's a great encouragement for all of us to, in this time, just be leaning on God more as our refuge and our strength.